Hello, everybody. This is Question Mark, and it is Friday, the 16th of July, and Dungeons and Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms just came out. It is pre release week, so I have a set booster box to open. And I also have a buy a box promo here, which is the Vorpal Sword, which is pretty cool. So we're going to be going through a set booster box opening today and seeing what I end up with. Let's see. I paid, and normally I'm not necessarily super transparent about this kind of thing, but I do want to kind of give an idea of value here. I did pay $125 for this booster box, for this set booster box. So I am curious if the set booster box does actually turn a profit. Yeah. That said, a set like Modern Horizons 2 has a lot more kind of money in it, as the cards in that set appeal to more formats, it's intentionally higher power, and the packs are more expensive. So we're not going to find any, foil or extended art fetch lands or anything like that. But there is a lot of cool stuff in here. New cards, basically no reprints in it. And yeah, it costs a whole lot less than Modern Horizons 2 did. And, okay, these packs are noticeably puffy. Like, there's some air in these, They can move around. Which, I wonder, where's that mean? Just, oh yeah, made in Japan. That's what I thought. Okay, it does say made in Japan right there, which also means, yeah, there's a tear tab up here. That's something that I've noticed on the Made in Japan packs, that they have more air in them. They have a tear tab, which is not super useful because you end up tearing just a corner off, and then where are you? And for better or for worse, the print quality, I think it varies from the Japanese to the European ones in terms of waxiness. These cards so far do feel a little waxy. The print quality is different. And also being like loose in the packs there, I worry a little bit about them shifting. But we'll see. We'll see if it's actually a problem. Okay, so this is weird. The card at the back of the pack was a like tip card for a mini game, but the first card in the pack is Blink Dog, medium Fey, challenge rating 1/4. What? Never seen a Magic card like this before. Okay, and that's right. Okay, the other thing about Japanese booster packs is that they are basically in reverse. They start with the token, or in this case, I guess the art card. Then there's like the, a foil, and then, what do you call it? The rare, and then it usually goes to the commons at the other end. So, yeah, Japanese packs are backwards. Also, am I zoomed too far in here? I feel like I am. Because I can't see hardly anything. I'm going to try... Yeah, let's give ourselves a little more room here. I feel like I couldn't hardly move. Okay. So I kind of wish there was something in between those two zooms. There's too close and not close enough. Alright, you know what? I apologize. I'm going to move this a little bit. Okay. How about this then? I think it gives me a little room to move around. And yeah, okay, I'm going to go with that. Alright, so we have the Blink Dog token, which is also our art card. We have a foil swamp, which I love it for the first time. These basic lands have flavor text, and the flavor text is in the description of the world. And so we've got a foil swamp here. These are special. These are unique. They've never done flavor text on basic lands before, so that's cool. Next, I've got a Showcase Common Celestial Unicorn. This is the Monster Manual style showcase cards. There's quite a few of these, and this is just a common. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Celestial Unicorn, a 3-mana 3/2. That seems okay. The Unicorn deck, I don't know if it's quite come together yet. It's probably close for Commander, for like a jank tribal. And there's 1 or 2 decent commanders for it. As you probably know, I really approach Magic from a Commander perspective these days, so that's mostly what I'm going to be talking about when I look at these cards. Plummet. I said earlier that there are very few reprints. Plummet is a reprint, and not a useful one. I mean, it's just draft. It's just a draft common, so whatever. Ranger's Longbow, 2-mana, 2/1 that gives reach, equip 3. Seems okay. Eltergard Ranger, 5-mana, 4/1 with reach. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 wolf creature token. It's a 4/1 for 5, and I don't know. I don't like this card. 50 Feet of Rope. Now this one's cool. 1 mana to cast, artifact with 3 abilities: climb over, tie up, or rappel down. You can read them here. It's an uncommon, and people have different opinions on the kind of flavor abilities there, and I like them. I like them at least for this set. I'm glad that they're here for the Dungeons & Dragons set. They should help you kind of like tell a story with your cards, which is very in flavor for Dungeons & Dragons. Cloister Gargoyle, when it enters the battlefield, venture into a dungeon. That's solid. As long as you've completed a dungeon, it gets +3/+0 and has flying. So it's a 3/4 flyer for 3 if you complete a dungeon, and it gets some little effect for you. That seems not bad, especially in draft once again. I don't know if it makes the cut in standard, but there's got to be some kind of venture into a dungeon deck people are working on. And it probably involves this character, Barrowin of Clan Undur. 2 colorless, white and a black. Legendary creature, Dwarf Cleric. When Barrowin of Clan Undur enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon. So that gets you started. And when she attacks, return up to 1 creature card with a mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield if you've completed a dungeon. So if your Cloister Gargoyle has died, you can bring it back and venture into the dungeon some more and loop around more and more dungeons. Barrowin seems pretty neat, especially for an uncommon. And okay, so that means I've got 4 uncommons in this pack. Set booster packs are weird. They have some commons that are related to each other, some uncommons that are related to each other, and then we get to like a fancy... Wait, okay, then that's 5 uncommons? Weird. Okay, well, Druid's class. I like the classes. I think they're great. I'm glad that they exist, and I'm probably going to use them in stuff. This one specifically, let's see, 2 mana. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. For 3 mana, you may play an additional land on each of your turns, and for 5 more mana, when this class becomes level 3, target land you control becomes a creature with haste, and this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. It's still a land. I mean, seems good in a Lands Matter deck. That might be the most obvious commentary of all time, but it is. You're playing and bouncing and fetching and sacrificing and returning lands and triggering them and gaining life. That's great. The ability to play an extra one every turn is cool. And then it can turn into a finisher, and that can make one of your lands very powerful. So that's nice. That is my 4th uncommon in this pack, and now we're on to a 5th. Magic Missile. Colorless and 2 red for a sorcery. This spell can't be countered. Magic Missile deals 3 damage, divided as you choose, among 1, 2, or 3 targets. I don't love Magic Missile. I don't know if this really captures the flavor of it to me. I don't know. It's okay, I guess. But you know, I still think of the gold standard for burn being Lightning Bolt, and this is nowhere near Lightning Bolt. It's a sorcery. It costs 3 mana to deal 3 damage. Dividing it up is somewhat useful. Not being able to be countered is somewhat useful. But, and at least you can go to the face, but still. Not huge on it. Mind Flayer. Okay. We got a rare. 3 colorless blue. Creature horror. Dominate monster. Oh, and it's a 3/3. When Mind Flayer enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Mind Flayer. Okay. Not sure what I would use this for. And I've got another foil in this pack. It is Leather Armor. It is a foil common. Equip creature gets +0/+1 and has Ward 1. Equip 0, but activate only once each turn. This could be kind of good, actually. I mean, there's got to be some Voltron decks that are like, I just need lots of equipment. And Ward would be nice, Toughness would be nice. I just don't want to pay any equip costs. I'm trying to keep it as low to the ground as possible. And I got to foil that? There's probably a use for this. I don't know if it's a Kiri Line Slinger or who wants to pick this up. But somebody might want to pick this up. So that's neat. Okay, so I don't totally understand the rhyme or reason of this booster pack. They ended up with like 5 uncommons. And it starts with a... Okay, I guess it starts with the art card. It's the Etten, which is also like a Monster Manual entry. That's neat. Oh, non-foil basic land this time. Okay, get wrecked me. Oh, then we got Blink Dog. Okay, so we got an uncommon showcase card. 3 mana, 1/1 double strike, and for 4 mana, Blink Dog phases out. Okay, well, dog deck needs more support, and this is a dog. So I don't know that it's a good dog. Well, I guess all dogs are good dogs. Devour Intellect. 1 mana sorcery. Target opponent discards a card. If mana from a treasure was spent to cast this spell, instead that player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it, then that player discards that card. So I've heard some people singing this card's praises because it looks like Thoughtseize. But you don't have to pay life. You just have to pay a treasure instead of normal mana. That's all well and good, but Thoughtseize is at its most powerful on turn 1. And it goes downhill pretty quick from there. How are you going to get this out on turn 1? How are you going to make a treasure and sack it for this on turn 1? In black? Or, well, I guess you could be in any color. I'm not sure in Standard. I'm not sure even more so in other formats. So I don't think... I mean, it's a common. I don't think it's intended to be compared that much to Thoughtseize. No, pretty much nothing's as powerful as Thoughtseize on its vector. But, yeah. This is... I think this is a little overrated. Shambling Ghast. I like this one, because I have a friend with a Shirei deck, and I think this might go in it. 1 black for a 1/1 creature zombie. When Shambling Ghast dies, choose 1, Brave the Stench. Target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn, or search the body. Create a treasure token. See, this is how you... You know what? What did I just talk about? This is how you do it. Turn 1, you play Shambling Ghast, you search the body, you get a treasure token, you sack it for Devour Intellect. That's the plan. That's the play. Okay. Well, now we know. Okay. So let's set that aside. So it can be done. I was worried about like 1 mana, 1 or 2 mana spells in Standard that would generate a treasure that you could use on turn 1. Well, there it is. Deadly Dispute. 2 mana instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. This card seems awesome. As an instant, this seems really good. Okay, I'm going to recommend some people play this. Faraday, Devil's Chosen. That's my first uncommon here of this pack. And it's a legendary creature, Tiefling Warlock. 2 generic mana, a blue and a red for a 3/3, with Dark One's Own Luck. Whenever you roll one or more dice, Faraday Devil's Chosen gains flying and menace until end of turn. If any of those results was 10 or higher, draw a card. This seems cool. In fact, you know what? I have been really enjoying the uncommon legends that Magic has been printing in the last year-ish, because they all seem to be just interesting enough to, or just about all of them, just interesting enough to warrant a potentially playable, decent commander deck, but basically none of them are overpowered. So, if you want to be playing 7, 8, 9 power commander, you probably want one of the rares or mythics, one from a commander deck or something, precon, who knows. But if you want to be playing more casual Magic, maybe you are naturally a high power player, but you want to handicap yourself a little bit to play against other people. Or maybe you are new to Magic and you are just trying to kind of get the feel for things, not spend a lot of money, things like that yet. These uncommon ones are kind of perfect for intentionally medium power decks. So I like this. I think it's great. I think it's useful. And could be fun. Oh, Barbarian class. This one's special. 1 red for an enchantment class. If you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many dice plus 1 and ignore the lowest roll. That's really the most special thing on this. We have Krark's Other Thumb, but it's silver bordered. That lets us reroll dice. So this is the one black border card that lets us do it, and I think it's great. Also, for 2 mana, whenever you roll 1 or more dice, target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains menace until end of turn. And for 3 more mana, creatures you control have haste. This just seems really good, especially in the die roll deck. Really exclusively in the die roll deck. Critical Hit. 2 mana for an instant. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. When you roll a natural 20, return critical hit from your graveyard to your hand. A natural 20 is a roll that displays 20 on the die. I love this card. I think it's excellent. I think it's a flavor win. I think they nailed it. Eyes of the Beholder. Holy jeez. Okay. So, 6 mana instant that gives target creature -11/-11. This is amazing. And also annihilates Darksteel Colossus and Blightsteel Colossus. And Ulamog. Some giant indestructible creatures get -11 for 6 mana at instant speed. You don't see this in standard legal sets very often. You see 6 mana removal that's sorceries. You don't see numbers this big usually. So this is actually pretty cool for glorified core set. Charmed Sleep. 3 mana, colorless and 2 blue. Enchantment Aura, enchant creature. When Charmed Sleep enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. They print one of these in every set. Seems to be necessary for draft. This is, I'm sure, fine. Dungeon Descent. Okay, we got a rare here. Except I've been reading about this rare. I've been thinking about it. And boy, did they really nerf dungeons on this one. It is a colorless land, so it enters the battlefield tapped and taps for colorless mana. And for 4 colorless and tap an untapped legendary creature you control, you venture into a dungeon, but only at sorcery speed. That's just so many drawbacks. Compared to the Treasure Vault that's in this set, that's an artifact land, enters the battlefield untapped, and can make treasures without having any other special certain kinds of cards involved. And treasures are more obviously valuable. Whereas venturing into a dungeon, you might be scrying one. You might be like creating a goblin token or something. The value is a lot less consistent. You always need mana. Anyway, Dungeon Descent, kind of a miss. I think it's like intentionally underpowered. Some cards they seem to be kind of afraid of venturing into dungeons being too good. Owlbear, foil common, 5 mana 4/4, trampling bird bear. I like that line. With keen senses. When Owlbear enters the battlefield, draw a card. I heard somebody say that this is just taking the ability from the card Keen Sense and slapping it on here, which is not true. Keen Sense is the green Curiosity from Planar Chaos, which says when enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. That's not what this does. This is better than that. This is really good in draft. I definitely draft the heck out of this, but I'm not going to be drafting. So, it's just neat. Icing Death, Frost Tongue, token legendary artifact, equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. Equip 2. So, I know this is one of Drist's swords, but I don't know what makes this. It's interesting. Okay. I hope that I get whatever makes this. Okay. Also, I was talking about value before. How the box is $125. And what is valuable in this set? Well, in most sets, you'd start by looking at the dual lands. This set doesn't have any dual lands. You'd next look at maybe the reprints. This set doesn't have any reprints. It's all new stuff. So what is worth what? It's kind of anyone's guess right now. But signs point to mythic rares, borderless cards, things like that. So actually, I'm going to be a little out of the know with regards to the value on most of these cards. I do not know. Foil basic land, though, I like it. Showcase common, Direwolf Prowler, 3 mana 2/2 creature wolf, 2 mana Direwolf Prowler gets +2/+2 and gains haste until end of turn. Activate only once each turn. Oh, so it's like a Root Walla. Okay. Sepulchre Ghoul. 2 mana 2/1 creature zombie. Sacrifice another creature. Sepulchre Ghoul gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate only once each turn. Which, by the way, for the time being, I am reading pretty much every card that comes across here because spoilers came and went so fast, in just a little over a week's time, I think, that I don't know half of these cards. I don't know what they do. I can't really comment on them, and that's kind of my shtick, is I comment on these cards. So it takes a while. But yeah, I gotta know what they do. And then once we get deeper in here and start seeing more repeats, I will be talking less about them individually. So things will speed up. But Price of Loyalty. 3 mana sorcery, gain control of target creature until end of turn, untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. If mana from a treasure was spent to cast this spell, that creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. I love this card. I like it flavorfully. I like it mechanically. I do play Act of Treason and Treachery in a deck or two, and this is it is a strictly better version of it, in that it has an optional upside if you're making treasure. And I think every commander deck at this point should have some ways of making treasure, pretty much. Especially in red, you got Dockside Extortionist, white, you got Smothering Tithe, stuff like that. So a lot of decks have ways of making treasure anyway. So do it. Oh, hey, speaking of, here's a card that makes treasure. 2 colorless, 2 red, instant, Unexpected Windfall. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and create 2 treasure tokens. So this replaces itself and the card that you discarded, and replaces half of the mana that you spent on it. But gosh, it's still kind of weird that this Unexpected Windfall costs more to cast than it makes you, and it costs the same amount of cards. So you're actually net neutral on cards and net negative on mana. So what kind of windfall is that? That's like, paying $4 for a lottery ticket and winning $3. Like, okay, I win, I guess? still probably useful in things like Storm. I will probably play it in Storm. And it's something you can do like at the end of somebody's turn while you're floating mana for something else. I don't know. Guild Thief, 2 mana creature orc rogue. Don't see many blue orcs. Whenever Guild Thief deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. For 4 mana, Guild Thief can't be blocked this turn. This is interesting. I've seen more rogues in this set that have payoffs for successfully evading opponents than ones that actually have evasion, which is kind of backwards from what you normally see. This one, of course, does have both, but the evasion is the optional part. I think this is actually good design. I like that if you just play your cards right, you might end up hitting your opponent anyway. But if you need to pull out some special sneaky trick, you could pay 4 mana and make it unblockable. So that's that. Keen-Eared Sentry. 2 mana, colorless and a white. For a 2/1 human soldier. You have hexproof. Well, that's pretty cool. I want hexproof. It's on a 2/1 though, so it's kind of vulnerable. What else does it do? Each opponent can't venture into the dungeon more than once each turn. Well, I mean, it's cool that there exists a card that kind of nerfs dungeon venturing in case that does end up being a broken mechanic, but preventing them from doing it more than once each turn is not much of a handicap. I guess it stops them from going infinite, when ideally you'd stop them from going at all. So, I think this card's not that good. I can't imagine anyone playing it outside of, like, if a venture into the dungeon deck does take off in Standard, this maybe is a sideboard card. Split the party. I love the flavor text on this one. Don't. It's a 5 mana sorcery in blue. Choose target player. Return half the creatures they control to their owner's hand, rounded up. Okay, so half of someone's creatures returned to their hand. For 5 mana, I mean, this seems like a draft card to me. It seems pretty good in draft. Outside of that, I don't know where you'd use it, honestly. Dragon's Fire. What? There's a song I was thinking of just a minute ago. Like, songs of war, songs of ire, songs of dragon fire, and the beast that will bite? Is it Enter Sandman? I might be getting the lyrics a little bit wrong, but I think it's Enter Sandman that has the line, Songs of Dragon's Fire.
I don't know, but now you make me want to watch Game of Thrones. Fire and dragon.
Yeah. I will get what is mine. With fire and blood, I will take it. So colorless and red for an instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand, or choose a dragon you control. Okay. Very versatile there for the dragon deck anyway. Dragon's Fire deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you revealed a dragon card or chose a dragon as you cast this spell, Dragon's Fire deals damage equal to the power of that card or creature instead. Okay, so it is a kind of sort of lightning bolt. What's the bad lightning bolt? The 2 mana lightning bolts. I don't remember what it's called. It's kind of one of those. It can't hit a player though. But if you reveal a dragon, it could be much more than 3 damage. Typical dragons are like 5 power-ish. Some of them are up to 7. So, neat for the dragon deck. Especially if there's a dragon deck in Standard. Ray of Frost. 2 mana enchantment aura with flash and enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, if enchanted creature is red, tap it. As long as enchanted creature is red, it loses all abilities. Ooh, get wrecked red. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Okay. I really like these cards in draft. They don't see much play in other formats, so we'll probably never see it again. Delina Wild Mage. Hey, okay, I have a showcase rare, which is cool. Not one I particularly was looking for, but it is still cool. And it is a red legendary creature elf shaman in the Monster Manual style, and it's rare. So, yeah, it's a 4 mana 3/2. Whenever it attacks, Choose target creature you control, then roll a d20. I like legendary creatures that have repeatable abilities, and this one doesn't repeat on dealing combat damage, it repeats on attacking, which you can do. You can always attack, pretty much, even if it's dumb. So, 1 through 14, or the majority of the time, you'll create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary, and it has exile this creature at end of combat. And if you do roll high, 15 to 20, you create one of those tokens, then roll again. So I believe this card has been errated, day 1 errata, to say you may roll again. Because if you get weirdly lucky and roll 15 to 20 forever, then the game doesn't end. So if you rolled 15 to 20 100 times in a row, you should be able to say, okay, I've rolled enough, and stop. So it does now say you may roll again. That said, I immediately get Kiki-Jiki vibes out of this because you're creating creature tokens that are copies of creatures you control. Let's see. Create a token tapped and attacking. You know what? This could be a fair Kiki-Jiki, everybody. This could be a fair Kiki-Jiki. And it can copy a legendary creature, and if it does, the copy isn't legendary. That's another thing that I often don't put legendary creatures in Kiki-Jiki because Kiki can't copy them. Now, granted, I've got Kiki powered way up to like CEDH levels now, so I'm trying to narrow it down to just cards that go infinite and cards that help me find the cards that go infinite. But this is worth more consideration, I think. Card could be very good. And then we got a foil Mimic. That's neat. 2 mana artifact treasure. I love that it is a treasure card, not a token. It is a treasure card. I believe that's the first. So, like any other treasure, you can tap and sacrifice it to add 1 mana of any color. For 2 mana, it becomes a shapeshifter artifact creature token, or artifact creature, with base power and toughness 3/3 until end of turn. So it is a little bit of a flavor fail though as a mimic, because your opponents know it's a mimic. You cast it, and then you can animate it at any time. I almost wish it was like I wish I had Flash, something like that. You can be like, surprise, I have a treasure here, and it's a mimic. It's getting you. Oh, and I got a token that is Gwenhwyvar. Ooh, I'm not sure about the pronunciation there. Gwenhwyvar. I always figured it was something kind of like Guinevere, but Gwenhwyvar. The Forgotten Realms cards are not that pronounceable. Some of them seem to be intentionally difficult. Like, oh yeah, try to pronounce a word like Drist. Like someone playing Scrabble, and they're like, no, 2 Z's in a row and then a T, it's fine. Sure it is. Okay, we got the Ghoul token here, the art card. That's alright, not my favorite, to be honest. Forest, love these. Okay. Then Arborea Pegasus. So we got the showcase art style. Oh, and this is by Jeff D. I've actually been a fan of his for years from his work on the Atheist Experience out of Austin, Texas. And I had heard that he had some history with like a classic role-playing game illustration, and I was like, okay, that's it's an interesting little hobby of his. I wonder, what they're referring to. And they're referring to like the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons monster manual from like 1985 or something. That he did a lot of the art in there, and they managed to get him to do a lot of the art in this set. I don't know how much, a third of the monster manual style creature cards in this set are by Jeff D. And we're like friends on Facebook. We've chatted a little bit in the past, so that's super cool to me. And he kept it a secret. He probably did these illustrations better part of a year ago, and nobody knew until they were there. Good job keeping a secret. Improvised weaponry. One of my favorite things in D&D, especially as a rogue. Because your normal weapons aren't like huge battle axes and stuff. They're just daggers and things. So sometimes it's just as effective if you have the improvised weaponry feat, or just pick up whatever's in the room and smack people with it. Like, I found a rod. I found a candlestick. I found a, piece of furniture. Whatever. Smack them.
Oh, table lamp.
Yeah.
Shoot, not the lamp. The table.
So 3 mana sorcery. It deals 2 damage to any target, and then you create a treasure token. That seems cool. For draft, this seems amazing. For standard, I don't know. If you got a deck that cares about treasure, maybe this is worth playing. Probably not, but maybe. You never know. We got Jaded Sellsword, who, like, at first glance, I think Strider from the Lord of the Rings, or the character type who, like, chills in the back of the tavern, waiting for, like, so I hear you got a job. All right, it may be dirty work, but for the right price, I'll do it.
I think it's funny how when they introduce Aragorn, he has this, like, emo, just, like, those kinds of vibes, just, like, just the cool, don't look at me, like, cut my wrists, and not, I'm just, but he has that vibe, but then later on he's all but just, like, this sweet, loving, outgoing, caring person, but when you see him first, just, like, I'm brooding. That's the only thing I do is brood.
I mean, he's wearing a hood, he's very dark, he's got swords on him, he's very scary, he seems like he's an assassin, and then, like, a little while later, he's singing songs and wooing an elven princess, and he's like, you bow to no one.
He looks like he's an evil, angry bastard, but then when he actually starts talking and, like, being, like, acting in the show, it's like, oh, this is, like, he's one of the most, like, non-toxic, like, masculinity. Like,
yeah, absolutely. So it's an interesting topic, but I do need to keep rolling here through the cards, since I am recording. But yeah, 4 mana for a 4/3 Dragon Warrior. So in that way, slightly different from Strider. Strider is not a dragon. When Jaded Sellsword enters the battlefield, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it, it gains first strike and haste until end of turn. I think this is cool, and one of the reasons why I would actually enjoy drafting this set is doing like a Treasure Matters kind of deck. Although there is also a black-red uncommon creature in this set that I hope to find. It's a legendary creature. It also kind of cares about treasure. And I might be tempted to build a commander deck based around that. I think she's really cool. Krydle of Baldur's Gate. Blue and a black. Legendary creature, human elf rogue, which human elf is how they are representing half-elves in this set. And it is weird to see a blue-black elf, but, D&D can do that kind of stuff. Whenever Krydle of Baldur's Gate deals combat damage to a player, that player loses 1 life, mills a card, you gain 1 life, and scry 1. That's a lot of little stuff for connecting in combat. And whenever you attack, you may pay 2. If you do, target creature can't be blocked this turn. It's a 1/3. So I'm considering playing this in my ninja deck, but it isn't a ninja. And paying 2 mana for the evasion every turn, am I likely to attack with Krydle itself to get this bonus? I mean, like, making my opponents drain a little bit of life and milling a card, it's not like a big deal. I don't know. It probably doesn't make the cut in my ninjas deck, honestly. It's neat. And I like the reference to Baldur's Gate. I'm really surprised, actually, that there isn't a Baldur's Gate card in this set. Like a land. How did they not do that? Well, in my own time, I designed a Baldur's Gate card. And, because I thought it would be a flavor fail otherwise, I made it a gate. So, Mesa's End players rejoice. But, we got Check for Traps, which is pulling some Indiana Jones shit right here. Colorless in a black. Swords coming out of the walls. Sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. Exile that card. If an instant card or a card with flash is exiled this way, they lose 1 life. Otherwise, you lose 1 life. I don't know if I like this card. I like the flavor of it, and relax, I'm a professional. But, I don't know, other than that, I'm not in love with this card. Portable Hole. A white for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until Portable Hole leaves the battlefield. I hear a lot of people saying this card is really good, especially the more competitive a format gets, the more low the mana cost gets, and the more effective Portable Hole is as a removal spell. There is a new card in Modern Horizons 2 that has Converge. It's like a white instant that can get rid of permanents with low mana cost that I think some people are saying they would play over this still because it is an instant after all. I don't remember exactly the details of that card, but one reason why you might play this one over it is if you are playing an affinity style deck or Metalcraft, where you need to have a number of artifacts you control. This helps with that and is roughly on the same power level otherwise with that like top tier card. So this may see some play in affinity decks. That'd be cool. Lurking Roper. I hear that this one's kind of a flavor fail because 3 mana for a 4/5 is a creature horror. Lurking Roper doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever you gain life, untap Lurking Roper. So Lurking Roper's whole deal is that it has long tentacle arms and it will pop out to surprise you from like the ceiling or the floor. So it's supposed to be a surprise attacker, one that grapples and bites. This one doesn't untap for some reason, is surprisingly big, but, has that drawback. And then it does untap when you gain life, which doesn't seem to tie into the flavor of this card at all. It ties into the flavor of Strixhaven. So this is like a rejected Strixhaven card that made it into this set, and they called Lurking Roper. I saw some other designs people were saying that just gave this flash, defender, stuff like that. Because, it also doesn't make a whole lot of sense that this thing that is, like, cemented into the ceiling or the floor can attack for 4. Makes a little more sense to have defender, but oh well. Is it a good card? Probably not. Maybe in a dedicated life gain deck, but I don't know. Okay, and then we got a rare here. Wizard Spellbook. This is another card that I felt was a little bit of a miss because it is 7 friggin' mana before it does anything. Honestly, just cut 1 colorless on this, and it might see some play somewhere. It was never going to see play in, modern or legacy or, or standard even necessarily. But it could see play somewhere if it were 6, but 7 mana. It's an artifact that can tap, exile an instant or sorcery card from a graveyard, then roll a d20. Activate this only as a sorcery. That's another thing that hurts, is activating as a sorcery, when you're exiling instant cards, like Counterspell. On a 1 through 9, you copy the spell, and you may cast the copy. By the way, that's it doesn't say without paying its mana cost on that one. 10 through 19, copy that card. You may cast the copy by paying 1 rather than paying its mana cost. Or, on a nat 20, copy each card exiled with Wizard Spellbook. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana costs. Okay, so that's cool. On a nat 20, this is amazing. But here's the thing, is that if you have 1 colorless open, can you take the risk on rolling this? You don't know what the result is going to be, and if you roll low, you have to pay the mana cost. If you roll high, you kind of don't. So that means you can only really use this in a desperation play when you have 1 mana open, or when you have lots of mana open and sorcery speed, and it costs 7 to get out. And there's just so many problems with this. This card is nerfed to hell. In the same pack, though, I get another rare, and it's Drist. And that is really cool. Drist is really good, if I remember right. 3 colorless, green-white, for a 3/3 legendary creature, Elf Ranger, with double strike. And when Dristorden enters the battlefield, create Gwenhwyvar, a legendary 4/1 green cat creature token with trample. Whenever a creature dies, if it had power greater than Drist's power, put a number of +1/+1 counters on Drist equal to the difference. This can be amazing. it counts when creatures die. One thing that I saw people recommending for like Commander, for instance, is Berserk, which is a 1 green instant, I think. It says target creature's power gets plus X plus O until end of turn, where X is its current power, so its power doubles. And then at the beginning of the next end step, you sacrifice that creature. So you can aim it at one of your own creatures, of course. Aim it at Gwenhuvar. It becomes an 8/1, and then at the end of the turn it dies, triggers Drizzt, and then puts, let's see, not 8 counters, but the difference. So 5 counters on it. And then it's a 5/5 double strike. So whatever power it gains, it effectively doubles when it's on Drizzt. But it doesn't say when a creature you control dies. It says when a creature dies. You can cast something like Berserk on an opponent's creature, the biggest one they've got. Maybe at the end of combat. And then it gets huge, and then it dies, and you get even bigger bonuses? You could play this with, I don't know, all kinds of different stuff. There's so many different combos you could do. So this guy seems real good. And rare. And then we got a foil common, Valor Singer, who I heard people calling Horny Bard before it came out, because it is one of the first bards in Magic, and being a tiefling, they have horns. 3 mana, 2/3, combat inspiration. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets plus 1/+0 until end of turn. So, for one of the first bards, it is a pretty weak showing for bards. What can you do, though? And I got my first card from the list, and it is Llanowar Reborn. A reprint from Archenemy, it looks like. Llanowar Reborn enters the battlefield tapped. It can tap for a green, and has Graft 1, so it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, I can move the counter. This is a neat, but not, like, totally necessary card to add to my collection. I believe I already own a couple of them, because they're originally from Future Sight, and I did buy a bit of Future Sight, so I still have a couple. And I don't know how much it's worth. $1, $2? Something like that. So for all the stuff that you can get from the list, all the crazy stuff that you can get from the list, that is not one of them, but it's also not a total dud. There are some total duds on the list. Then we've got... What is this? Okay. Art card. On the back, Den of the Bugbear. Okay, you know what? I guess while the creatures that, like the monsters that are art cards, have monster manual text on the back of them, this is the previous normal style of art cards, where it just has a little bit of information about the name of the card and the artist and stuff. So I guess this is normal. Anyway, we got Island and Ginny Windseer. 3 colorless and a blue. Creature Jin. 3/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, roll a d20. Low roll, scry 1. High roll, scry 2. Crit, scry 3. 4 mana, 3/3 flyer. Seems excellent in draft. I like the style it has there. Is it any good in any other formats? I don't know. I would say blink, but you probably don't want to be blinking something that just scries. You want to be blinking something that actually gets you card advantage, like drawing a card. So I doubt it'll be played in anything. Mordenkainen's Polymorph. Colorless and a blue, instant, until end of turn, target creature becomes a dragon with base power and toughness 4/4 and gains flying. That's interesting. I was just brainstorming a Volo deck the other day where I was looking up cards that make a creature a different creature type. Most of them say, like, becomes a vampire in addition to its other types. But this one says becomes a dragon. It loses all other creature types. So with Volo, since it copies creatures of types that you don't already control, if you had an elf and you were like, oh shoot, I want to play an elf and copy it, but I already have an elf, well, you could turn that elf into a dragon, and then Volo will copy it. But that's a pretty bad combo, I'd say, so that's not going to happen. Bar the Gate. 2 colorless and a blue. counter target creature or planeswalker spell venture into the dungeon. Neat. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Once again, seems pretty good in draft. Secret Door. A blue for a 0/4 defender wall. With 5 mana, venture into the dungeon. Activate only as a sorcery. I may actually stick this into Arcades the Strategist. It's a very cheap wall. Arcades will draw me cards when I play defenders. So 1 blue to draw a card. Arcades allows me to deal damage with their toughness. And then if I've got nothing better to do, I can pay 5 mana and start venturing through a dungeon. So that can kind of get me out of a bind. I'm at a stalemate, run out of cards. I can start venturing. Seems kind of good. For a certain deck. Bag of Holding. 1 mana. I believe this is a reprint. The previous Bag of Holding, I believe, also was a rare from, like, I don't know, M19 or something. So whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. 2 mana and tap, draw a card, then discard a card. So that puts things into the Bag of Holding. And for 4 mana tap, you sack the Bag of Holding. You return all cards exiled to the Bag of Holding to their owner's hands. Neat. Rust Monster. 2 colors and a red for a creature beast. It's a 2/1 first striker. Sack an artifact, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Now that's not what I think of when I think of a Rust Monster. When I think of a Rust Monster, it makes everybody's artifacts rust and decay and go bad. And it really feels like it should be like at the beginning of your upkeep, destroy target artifact chosen at random. Something like that. Instead of this, Rust Monster will only ever eat the artifacts that you want it to eat and only ever your own. And that's not why Rust Monsters are feared. They are feared because they will eat your sword, they'll eat your enemy's sword, your ally's sword, their armor, their everything, and your precious, precious items go away. And you don't have any control over it. Ingenious Smith. Colorless and a white. Creature, Human Artificer. It's a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever 1 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Ingenious Smith. This ability triggers only once each turn. This seems really good, actually. It's like a mini Stoneforge Mystic kind of. I mean, sure. It costs the same as Stoneforge Mystic, and it doesn't tutor. So it's not that good. But it's probably going to be good for Standard, good for equipment-based decks, maybe. They're low to the ground. It can get bigger. I don't know, seems neat. Planar Ally. This art looks epic, although it's an angel killing a bunch of, I was going to say hyenas, but I bet they're gnolls. Gnolls look like hyenas. 5 mana, 3/3 angel, with flying, of course. Whenever Planar Ally attacks, venture into the dungeon. Oh, so it's a repeated venture. Neat. I think if somebody did put together like a whole venture deck that's like every card says you venture repeatedly and stuff, you could really get on a roll and do some crazy stuff. Shortcut Seeker. 3 colors and a blue for a 2/5. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, venture into the dungeon. See, this is a combination of a couple of things I was talking about, but one of them is rogues that lack evasion, that benefit you if you can find a way to give them evasion, which they do not have. So, interesting puzzle to solve there. Oh, and we have a rare Zalto Fire Giant Duke. It's 3 colors and 2 red for a legendary creature, Giant Barbarian. It is a 7/3 with trample, and whenever it is dealt damage, venture into the dungeon. So I just built a giant tribal deck, and I'm not sure if this goes in it. 7/3 for 5 with trample is pretty decent stats. When it is dealt damage, venturing is a neat little bonus, but I'm not going to be making like a venture into dungeon deck, really. 3 toughness is a little on the low side, so I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I'll think about it. That was the rare, and then we got a foil here. Priest of Ancient Lore. 2 colors and a white. 2/1 Dwarf Cleric. When Priest of Ancient Lore enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Hey, we got white card draw. Excellent. Blink deck might like it. It's also being 3 mana. It's perfect for Sun Titan, Angelic Renewal, stuff like that. So, there are decks that might fit in. And then a treasure token. Cool. Okay. I have been taking a while on this, and I'm not making very fast progress. I think I'm gonna start just skipping past a lot of the comments on here anyway, even if I haven't read it before, just because it's taken a long time, and the comments aren't particularly interesting. Ooh, okay, but we got an art card signed, and I believe that's Mordenkainen. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like the most valuable art card in the set. Mordenkainen is, to my understanding, the kind of player character of Gary Gygax, one of the original creators of Dungeons and Dragons. And he's turned into a mythic rare planeswalker card in this set. There are all kinds of spells named after him, including his guard dog. Donato Giancola is one of the more popular and more skilled and experienced magic artists that we have. And this is the gold foil stamped by him. So this could be... a lot of these art cards aren't worth, like, anything. But this one might be. So, just as I'm like, I'm not going to go over every common, I pull up a card that's literally not even a magic card, and I start talking about it. But Underdark Basilisk. Okay. Veteran Dungeoneer. Gloomstalker. If you complete a dungeon, it has double strike. There's a deck there. Delver's... I see there's something spicy at the end of this pack. Delver's Torch. There's something kind of spicy at the beginning. 2 mana equipment. When a creature attacks, venture into a dungeon. Gosh, if only the equip cost wasn't 3. That's kind of bad. But repeatable venturing into dungeons is neat. Plate Armor. Gives +3/+3 and Ward 1. Equip 3. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each other equipment you control. Oh, this could be really good in the equipment deck. Ward 1 is useful. +3/+3 is pretty good. 3 to cast isn't that bad. The equip cost of 3 is kind of a deal breaker. But it can cost 0 if you have 3 other equipment. So the equipment deck could easily do that. Plate Armor might have a role. And Bruenor Battlehammer. My understanding is this is a close friend, a traveling companion of Drist's. I haven't read the books, so I don't know. But 2 colorless, a red and a white for a legendary creature Dwarf Warrior. Each creature you control gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it. Hey, Plate Armor. You may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate this turn. And it's a 5/3. Yeah. There's a lot of red-white equipment matters commanders out there right now. You have your choice. You have your pick. And a lot of them are just solid. And whichever one you pick as your commander, you probably ought to throw most of the rest of them in the deck. And they're all really good. So this is a good one either way. Choose your weapon. 3 mana instant. Double target creature's power and toughness until end of turn for 3 mana. That's not bad. Or deal 5 damage to target creature flying. This card seems really good, especially in draft. Jaded Sellsword, that's the dragon version of Aragorn, or Strider. Drider. I love that this exists, that it's a creature elf spider. It's got reach. It's a 4/3. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a 2/1 black spider creature token with menace and reach. That's so cool. It's just that it's a 5 mana creature with no evasion that does this. If it had menace and was like 1 mana cheaper, and maybe to make up for that you cut a power or 2 off of this, then it could be so cool, but I just think it's not going to get there. Oh, I've got even more fanciness coming here. So Hand of Vecna is the rare. 3 mana legendary artifact equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, a creature or a creature you control named Vecna gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. And then you can equip by paying 1 life for each card in your hand, or by paying 2 mana. This card seems pretty good, especially in a big hand size deck. But then what have I got here? Whoa, we got a foil rare dungeon module land card, Den of the Bugbear. An adventure for character levels 17 through 20. It's a land, if you can believe it. Looking at this magical card, this is a land, and it's foil up here and here, and I think that's it. So the art and the kind of ribbon in the corner are the foil bits. If you control 2 or more other lands, Den of the Bugbear enters the battlefield tapped. So if it's your first 2 lands and it's untapped, it taps for a red, or for 4 mana until end of turn, Den of the Bugbear becomes a 3/2 red goblin creature token with, whenever this creature attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. It's still a land. Okay, I was considering this for my Kiki Jiki deck, even for my competitive version of it, because I need to be playing a certain number of lands to tap for red, considering that my commander is triple red. So I need to keep that red mana sources high. I've already got kind of the most colorless mana sources I could play in there. This is a red mana source. I need to keep the number of lands that enter tapped to a bare minimum. This enters tapped, but not in the first 2 turns. And in the first 2 turns are where it's a little more critical. If this is in my opening hand, I can always arrange it so it comes in untapped. If I get it later, then whatever. And then the benefit, of course, is that I can make it a creature that attacks and makes a creature. And with Kiki, I can copy the land. Now, the trick there is that I will be making, I believe, a land token. So the copy that Kiki makes will not be a creature. It'll be a land token, and it'll enter the battlefield tapped. Okay, so that's not super good. But, I don't know. I still think this card's great. And now that I got a foil dungeon module version of it, I'm absolutely going to cram it in there. Wow. That is a really cool card. And a style, of course, the Wizards has never done before. So different from anything they've ever done before. I'm not sure if I love it or hate it. Well, I'm not sure if I love it or, I'm not sure if I love it. But it's interesting, and I got it in foil, so now I'm going to use it. So, we got an angel token, a very mysterious-looking angel. And actually, there are a number of things in Forgotten Realms, in Dungeons & Dragons, that are intentionally, clearly different than normal Magic the Gathering. From things like human elf being a thing, to halflings and tieflings being a thing, to angels. The angels in D&D are more masculine, whereas the angels in normal Magic the Gathering are more feminine. Oh! What in the world? So this is the Owl Bear by Pedro Potier. And wow, this is clean. And it's the gold foil signature. I mean, this could be worth something. I don't know. This seems very special. Neat. Then we got a foil forest, which actually feels like it's curling a little bit. And then we've got the Monster Manual style Shesra, Death's Whisper. Yeah, this is curling. This whole pack is a little bit, because I think this, plus the foil basic, plus I got a glimpse there's a foil at the back of this pack. So it's curled the whole pack a little bit. I mentioned these packs are packed a little looser from Japan, and that seems to be the case here. But 2 colorless, black and a green for legendary creature, human elf warlock. A 1/3 with Bewitching Whispers. When it enters the battlefield, target creature blocks this turn of Fable. And at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. I don't think this card's that good. I think, once again, you could build a commander deck with this uncommon commander, and you could do some neat stuff with it, but it's never going to be busted. It's always going to be fair. So, cool. I'm glad that there are commanders out there that are just pretty good. Just interesting enough, not overpowered as options. Oh, hey, we got the white dragon and the black dragon right next to each other here. It's another thing where dragons in D&D, like their colors and their abilities don't quite line up with what you might expect from normal Magic. The biggest difference being the green dragons that breathe acid, or no, they don't breathe acid. They breathe poison. I believe that's what it is. The black one breathes acid. Difference between acid and poison, who cares? Dragon's Disciple. 2 mana, 1/3. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. If you do, or if you control a dragon, Dragon's Disciple enters the battlefield with a plus simple soul encounter on it. Dragons you control have Ward 1. Oh, this is neat. Okay. Boulette. That's another one that I remember. Like, Boulettes in D&D are very scary. I remember from Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. But this is not that scary. 4 mana, 3/3, beast. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, put a plus encounter on Boulette. Main thing I remember about Boulette is that they like burrow underground and then they pop up and they freak you out and they knock you down and really mess you up. So I kind of wish that there was like a thing where it, I don't know, maybe exiled and then returned to the battlefield and popped up and was huge or something. I don't know. It's common. Oh, and then Blink Dog. Okay. Yo, dog. Oh, wow. Okay, we got the Book of Exalted Deeds. White. Legendary artifact that was just banned in a specific version of Standard. The version of Standard that has already pre-rotated on Magic Arena. Because you put this... okay. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, create a 3/3 white angel creature token with flying. I think that Wizards and I both looked at this card and was like, you put it in a life gain deck and you get some free angels. That's what the card does. As a neat little bonus, you can pay 3 white, tap and exile the Book of Exalted Deeds, and put an enlightenment counter on an angel. It gains, you can't lose the game and your opponents can't win the game. Activate only as a sorcery. Neat little bonus, right? But people figured out that there's this Faceless Haven land in Standard right now, and after rotation, that is a changeling, so it's all creature types, so it's an angel. You can animate it, put this counter on it, and then when it stops being animated, you have a land that says you can't lose the game, and there's basically no way of destroying it in Standard, so you just can't lose, but you also don't necessarily win, so the game just rolls on. If both players get it, it's a nightmare. You can even mill out, and then you're both just sitting there. You can be at negative 1,000 life, and you're both just sitting there. No, this became a nightmare. But I have a life gain deck, and I'm just going to play it in there. So that's cool for me. And then we got a foil common, and it's not that exciting. Okay. Said that we're going to roll through these a little faster, and then still kind of sat and read almost every card in the pack. But, ooh, Gold Dragon, right? Adult Gold Dragon, okay? And the thing in the back is the Lost Mine of Fandelver. Oh yeah, I need more of these dungeon cards. This is my first dungeon card here. Alright, we got Basic Land, we got the Mimic by Diesel. Clattering Skeletons, Precipitous Drop, Zombie Ogre. Oh, what have we here? The Temple of the Dragon Queen. It's a land. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. Temple of the Dragon Queen enters the battlefield tapped, unless you reveal a dragon card this way or control a dragon. Okay, so if you dragon, then untap, otherwise tap. As it enters the battlefield, choose a color, add 1 mana of the chosen color. Seems good in dragons. Green Dragon, yeah, has that poison breath. Told ya. It's a little weird to get, like, efficient green flyers. But the mythic rare is the one that really takes the cake. On the other hand, I think this guy is cute as hell. Look at his face. Everyone around there is having a good time. Look at this frog friend. He's got little symbols. That's so great. 4 mana, 4/2 Dragon Bard. At the beginning of your end step, if you had a land enter the battlefield under your control this turn, venture into the dungeon. There's a new ballad awaiting to be born around every corner. I love this. Flavor win. I love that bards are a thing now, even just a little bit. I hope they continue to be a thing. And, like that's a dragon bard. Anyway, you find the villain's lair. Probably going to be played in Standard. Loathsome Troll. Probably not going to be played anywhere. Bard class. Probably going to be played in Legendary Creature Matters decks. Because red and a green, legendary creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them. Cool. For another red and a green, legendary spells you cast cost a red and a green less to cast. This effect only reduces the amount of colored mana you pay. So, of course, if you have a red and green legendary creature spell ready to go, you pay 2 mana, and then it discounts it by the 2 mana, and it's just free. And then it's profit after that. And then for 5, whenever you cast a legendary spell, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. In a Legendary Matters deck, this is just gravy upon gravy upon gravy. It's lovely. And even if your deck isn't like a Legendary Matters deck, if you're playing a red-green commander deck, your commander has red-green in its mana cost, this might be worth it. Just get a counter on them, maybe make them cheaper. This is good. Ooh! We got a foil showcase Monster Manual Pixie Guide. It's a 1 and a blue for creature fairy, 1/3 flyer. Grant an advantage. If you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many dice +1 and ignore the lowest roll. This card is super cool, and I'm glad that I got a foil. It's awesome. I don't have a dice roll deck. I'm not likely to build one, but if I did, and it included blue, that card is one of the main reasons I think to do it. Okay. So we got Lair of the Hydra. Looks like Wayne Reynolds. It is. Cool. Planes. Guess I'll put that there. Social Unicorn, already got that. Some commons here. Spare daggers, neat. You happen upon a glade. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Make camp. Okay. So on the one hand, 3 mana, go get 2 lands, put them in your hand, is worse than, your Cultivates, your Kodama's Reaches. It doesn't put it on the battlefield. But it is an instant. It has the option of returning a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand instead. I don't know. Might see some use in something. Intrepid Outlander, Orc Ranger. 2 mana, 2/3 reach, Pack Tactics. Whenever it attacks, if you attacked with creatures with a total power of 6 or greater this combat, venture into the dungeon. Seems, once again, great in draft. Okay, otherwise. You see a pair of goblins. 2 mana instant. Creatures you control get +1, 2/0 until end of turn. Or create 2 goblin creature tokens. I like when there's an instant there's one card that makes 2 creature tokens. I think that's neat, and usually there's a use for it somewhere. You're ambushed on the road. Nah, I'd rather not be. Circle of Dreams Druid. Wow, I forgot that this is a rare, but it totally should be, because the text on it is practically Gaia's Cradle. It is Gaia's Cradle, but it has summoning sickness. It costs mana, and can be killed by a single point of damage. But if you're living the dream, it's Gaia's Cradle. It's a 3 mana 2/1 Elf Druid. It taps for green for each creature you control. That's amazing. I was on the fence about whether or not to play this in certain decks, though. Like, I have an Elf Tribal deck. Is it good there? Well, Elf Tribal deck's trying to be really close to the ground. It's trying to be like a Lord-style deck that gives all your creatures +1/+1. This doesn't do that. This produces a whole bunch of green, maybe more than I can use. It's a huge target. People are going to be afraid of it. So I don't know. But I'm glad that I drew one, so now I can consider it. And in the same pack, a second rare, Meteor Swarm. See, this is one of the reasons to even get set boosters. You have a chance of getting 2 or 3 rares, or mythics, or multiple foils, multiple showcase cards, cards from the list. stuff like that. It can work out to more than one rare. In fact, on average, it works out to more than one rare per pack. Like, there's no way that it doesn't. Every couple of packs, there's another rare or foil or mythic or something. So X, red, 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 sorcery, deals X damage, 8 damage, divides you choose among X target creatures and or planeswalkers. I don't like it, though. Sorry, I don't. It's a lot of friggin' mana. And we got a foil, Aberrant Mind Sorcerer, a 5 mana 3/4 human elf shaman, psionic spells. When Aberrant Mind Sorcerer enters the battlefield, choose target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard, then roll a d20. Low roll, you may put that card on top of your library. High roll, return it to your hand. I don't know if people need this effect that much on a 5 mana card. Seems good in draft. I do, however, like that they are employing sorcerers from D&D align with shaman in Magic. You might not have realized that. It might not have even been intuitive, but that's what they did. They did that on purpose. And then what the heck have I got here? I got a card from the list, and it is Soltari Monk. 2 mana for a 2/1 summon cleric. Real old school, from Tempest originally. Has protection from black and shadow. So I believe this has also been errated to be a Soltari cleric. Has it been errated to also be a monk? Because monk is a valid creature type. Now it would be a little weird if it was called Soltari Monk and it wasn't a Soltari and a monk, but was still a cleric. So I bet it's all three of those things. Shadow, protection from black. I don't know. Seems neat. I don't really have a place for it. And given that really all it does is, like, attack for some evasive damage in a, like, kind of white weenie style deck, I don't really have a use for it in Commander. But it's neat, and it's old, and it's from the list, so it's kind of special. Okay. Okay. We've got True Polymorph. Somebody got turned into an Illithid, and their glasses are falling off. Neat. We got a Foil Plains. Then we got a Borderless Red Dragon, which looks amazing. It's not foil, but it still looks amazing. I guess the awkward thing about it is that's just an uncommon. I got a Borderless uncommon? So, in a lot of sets these days, they have been making borderless mythics, and maybe even the occasional borderless rare, but not often do they do a borderless uncommon. But I believe they did it for all the dragons in this set, so this is Dungeons and Dragons after all. They did this to the dragons. It looks cool. Am I going to play it in anything? Well, I was thinking low power Kiki Jiki. It would be good, because it's 6 mana for a 4/4 flyer. I like flyers in that deck. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to each opponent. I like that ability, but Kiki Jiki, I've realized that the competitive version of it cannot be caught up in cards that are just good. To like, oh, hey, I'm doing 4 damage to an opponent. I'm doing another 4 damage. I'm doing 12 a turn. That's cool. I'm going to get him in a couple of turns. Watch out. No. I have to be focused on infinite and finding the cards that go infinite. So, that said, this card's pretty cool. And if I build a low-power Kiki Jiki deck, or maybe that Delina or whatever her name is, that's going straight in there. It's very good. Goblin Battlecry, or Battlecry Goblin. Goblin Morningstar. Hulking Bugbear. Bugbears from D&D are goblins in Magic for some reason. I guess that works. Kick in the door. Contact another plane. Hey, Volo! Okay, Volo. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm off frame there. Volo is a commander that I've been brainstorming. So yeah, maybe I will actually build it. It is very difficult because you cast a creature spell, and if it doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, you copy that spell. So if you cast a human, you get nothing. If you cast a wizard, you get nothing. You cast an elf druid, doesn't line up, you get 2 elf druids. You get it and a copy of it. If they have enter the battlefield triggers, that's usually where most of the profit is, because you get both the enter the battlefield triggers. If you want to double up on it, you could try to bounce the original one, but if you recast it, you now have the tokens still. You need to bounce both of them. If you try to sacrifice either of them to like get an elf off the field so you can play another elf, well, you've got two of them that you need to sacrifice, and it does care about the ones in the graveyard. So don't be throwing no changelings in here. That's the worst thing you could do. But it's difficult because what I want to be doing is playing like Farhaven Elf and Wood Elves and, you know, like 5 different elves that are like, you know, land searchers and stuff like that. Elvish Reclam... I don't know. Different things like that. Elvish Reclaimer or whatever. But if you do that, it might not copy because you might have found another elf this game. And also Eternal Witness is one of the cards I would most like to play. So you could have an elf and it dies, and then you return it to your hand so you can replay it over again and copy of it from the graveyard. It'd be really great to be able to reuse those. But he's a human, can't do it. I'm not going to say too much more about it because I've already been rambling for a bit, but I found the best card in this deck seems to be Spark Double. The Spark Double is an illusion when you cast it, so you will get a copy of it. And both of them enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature you control, but if it's, or a planeswalker, and it gets a +1/+1 counter if it's a creature, and if the card you're copying is legendary, then the copy is not. So you can make 2 copies of Volo that are each 4/3s, and then when you cast any of your other cards, they get 3 copies instead of 1. And that is really, really powerful. So I love that I got this. I'm probably building that deck. Barbarian Class. Foil uncommon. That's very cool. And then we got a minigame card here. Okay. I spent a lot of time talking about Volo. I'm going to start to roll through some of the rest of these. Once again, you know, we'll see if that holds true. Okay. Oh, we got Drizzt as an art card. Cool. Forest. Yep. Pixie Guide. Pixie Guy. Scaled Herbalist. Neverwinter Dryad. Owlbear. The Commons. Tiger Tribe. Blue Dragon. Feign Death. Got Gretchen Titchwillow, which is the least interesting legend in this set by far, if you ask me. It's also the only one of the uncommons that I really hope no one actually bothers to build. It seems like a worse version of a lot of things that are already out there. Very boring. Every Simic deck does this. Yawn. Book of Vile Darkness. The opposite of the Book of Exalted Deeds. This is the one where you have to put the pieces of Vecna together. I've got 2 pieces of Vecna. Cool to get another one. This is a mythic rare. I'm happy about that. Choose your weapon foil. Neat. And another card from the list, and it's Spellbook. I think this does see a little bit of play in some commander decks. Maybe, I don't know, Urza or something, where being a 0-mana artifact is better than being a land or a 2-mana artifact. Alright. Let's keep rolling. As the poet Fred Durst would say, keep rolling, 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 rolling. Okay, come on. That'll work. Got it. The Atropal. Oh, cool. I believe that's on the back of... yeah, the Tomb of Annihilation. Neat. Alright. The Atropal token. Also got... Feywild Trickster. Okay. Mountain. Check. Neverwinter Dryad. Neat. Hill Giant. Find a Path. Clever Conjurer. Purple Worm. Isn't that a euphemism? Oh. I don't want to see your purple worm, dude. Put it away. Dungeon Map. 3 mana, taps for a colorless. That's a little below rate here, but 3 mana tap, venture into a dungeon. I mean, if you're playing that dungeon deck, you know you're going to want this just as a thing to do, so that you can keep on venturing. actually seems like it'll have a place. Red Dragon. Now, none of these dragons excite me anymore because I got the borderless one. So it's like, ho-hum. You come to a Knoll camp. That's neat. That's a common. Oh, I got the actual card that I had the art card from in this pack. Uncommon, though. Yuan-Ti Malison. I don't know what that word means. So it's a colorless and a blue for a 2/1 Snake Rogue. It can't be blocked as long as it's attacking alone. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, venture into the dungeon. Interesting. I wonder if this would go into a Rafik of the Many deck, where you could attack with it alone, it becomes unblockable, gets exalted, so it's a 3/2, and gets double strike. So then it hits for 6 and ventures twice. That could be kind of good. For only 2 mana? Yeah, that seems sweet. And then foil Guild Thief. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if I had a Rafik of the Many deck, and I was looking for more just, like, good stuff to toss in there, Yuan-Ti Malison is something I would strongly consider. I would think. Depends on how tight the deck is, I guess. Is this mountain? Yeah, mountain. Island. Hamapashar, Ruin Seeker. Room abilities of dungeons you own trigger an additional time. You know, I've been talking about this potential venture into a dungeon deck. And I believe one of the commander decks is like an Esper venture into a dungeon matters kind of deck. Play Hamapashar, play some of the other things I was talking about. It might not be the most powerful thing in the world, but it might be just different enough to be fun to play, and it's working on an angle that most decks aren't, so your opponents aren't likely to be working against you, like when you're working on a mill deck and their Graveyard Matters, when you're working on Graveyard Matters and their mill, you accidentally end up working kind of for your opponent, or vice versa, you get screwed because your opponent's just doing their thing. You're unlikely to get messed up with the venturing. So, anyway, Targnar, Demon Fang Knoll, 2 mana, 2/2, legendary creature Knoll with Pack Tactics. Whenever Targnar Demon Fang Knoll attacks, if you attacked with creatures with a total power 6 or greater this combat, attacking creatures get +1/+0 until end of turn. That's a very tiny effect for this legendary creature. But for 4 mana, you can double his power and toughness until end of turn. That seems really cool. I actually used to play a peasant commander deck where you could have an uncommon that isn't legendary as your commander, and I played a red-green creature whose name escapes me, but its ability was like 3 mana, double its power. And I considered it a silver bullet commander. I'd get on the battlefield, I'd just be ramping, and then when the turn is right, I'd give it like flying or some other form of evasion, swing at somebody, and if they can't block, I just double its power like 3 or 4 times and kill them. And this has some of that built into it, but is a legitimate commander, and it costs a little less than the other one did, I think. So I don't know that that's going to be a fun deck to build in 2021, but maybe a budget deck. Maybe a no rares deck. I don't know. Could do it. Pixie Guide. Rust Monster. Long Rest. X green for a sorcery. Return X target cards with different mana values from your graveyard to your hand. If 8 or more cards were returned to your hand this way, your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. This seems actually really good in certain ramp decks, in ones that do end up with lots of cards in their graveyard. You know, so maybe your green-black, I don't know, green-blue, green-red, actually, like with aggressive creatures or something. I kind of like this if you think that there's maybe a 50-50 chance that you'll get up to this like huge amount of mana, and then reset your life total. That's cool. Certainly like it as an option. I like that it exists. You find some prisoners. Foil common, destroy an artifact, Or, oh right, I remember thinking this card is really good actually. So destroy target artifact, so it's Shatter. So base mode is just Shatter, which is useful. But the fact that it can also do another thing. Exile the top 3 cards of target opponent's library, choose one of them. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card, and you may spend mana as lower mana of any color to cast it. This is really cool, and I'm glad that got a foil. But holy crap, Gemstone Caverns has got to be one of the most valuable cards on the list that you can get. It is a CEDH staple. It is played in certain competitive formats. This card's amazing. How much is it worth these days? $30, $40? I don't know. It was just reprinted in Time Spiral Remastered, but this is a copy, from the list of the original Time Spiral version. So it does say, like, with it in play instead of on the battlefield. I would prefer it to be the newer version where it says on the battlefield, or has the colorless mana symbol down there, just a little bit less text, stuff like that. But this is an amazing pull. I think far and away the most valuable card that I've pulled today. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more valuable than any card in the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set, short of maybe like a borderless foil mythic rare. Like borderless foil Mordenkainen or something, I don't know. There might not be a card in the set worth as much as that. And that might not be the number 1 most valuable card in from the list, but it's got to be close. So, in terms of like raw profit, that is the only thing that gives me a chance really of making my money back, if that were even a thing I was concerned about. I do just want to own a lot of these cards. You hear me talking about a lot of these cards. A lot of them are exciting. They inspire me to build new decks. I kind of wasn't interested in building the Venture into a Dungeon deck, but I just drew most of the cards from it that would be not overpowered, but unique and good enough. And we got a rare here. Westgate Regent. 5 mana, 4/4 vampire. Oh yeah, I have a high power vampire deck. So every time I see a new vampire in a set, I get a little excited, but it's playing really low to the ground, really low mana cost. So 5 mana vampire. I think I'm playing like 2 5 mana vampires in that deck. Flying, of course, ward, discard a card, which is nice, but what does it really do? Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 encounters on it. Oh, okay, so this can get big. But that's not what my vampire deck does. My vampire deck attacks early and often, fast and furious. Wow, okay, I got a foil rare here. Varus, Silvery Moon Ranger. 3 mana, Human Elf Ranger. With Reach and Ward 1. Whenever you cast a creature or Planeswalker spell, Venture into the Dungeon. This ability triggers only once each turn. I don't actually mind that. Whenever you complete a dungeon, create a wolf creature token that's a 2/2. That is very cool. Alright. Well, certainly gotten some shinies and pretties here lately, from the foil legendary rare there to the Book of Vile Darkness, Volo, who I've been brainstorming, the Circle of Dreams, it's basically Gaia's Cradle, the Book of Exalted Deeds. We're still only a little over halfway through. And of course I got the Gemstone Caverns, which might be the most expensive card from the list that I could hope to pull.
Oh,
I believe over $30, just as a little recap here.
That card that's like a Gaia's Cradle? What's that one?
Oh, it's an elf Circle of Dreams Druid. It taps for a green for each creature you control. That's what Gaia's Cradle does.
Pretty cool.
Granted, Gaia's Cradle costs 0 mana, and doesn't have summoning sickness, and can't be killed by a single point of damage.
It's also in green though, so I mean that's still really cool.
Yeah. And the other really, really cool one that I got is Den of the Bugbear.
Oh, neat.
I got a foil dungeon module land.
Wow, that looks so pretty.
Yeah, it's so different.
I love it. I love that Magic is going with a little bit more like, I like the variety in the way that they're You know, like they did the Ikoria alternate art, and then the alternate art came, and they had the sketch art for. It was what was the sketch art for? That was
Modern Horizons 2.
Yeah.
Okay, we got an art card that's very pretty. What is it? Forest? Yeah, it's just Forest. Plains. Oh yeah, in this set they've got the Monster Manual art that I was talking about. So there's that. Although I'll be honest, I really only kind of like the ones that are maybe blue, because I don't like the kind of off-white color that most of the card is. So I'm unlikely to play a lot of those. Okay, so we just got some commons here. A couple of uncommons. Wizard class is nice, actually. You have no maximum hand size for a blue. Great start. 3 mana, it's just divination. You just draw 2 cards. 5 mana, whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. There are going to be uses for this. I know it. Sudden Insight. Draw a card for each different mana value among online cards in your graveyard. That's weird. I don't know what to do with that. Shocking Grasp. Make a creature smaller, draw a card. Cleric class. All the classes are cool. And what do you know? I got another Dungeon Module style card. This one's not foil, but this is the one that I really wanted because it makes a giant. And actually, it is 5 colors and a blue. This land becomes a 7/7 giant with ward 3 until end of turn.
And you just built a giant deck, too.
I did. I'm absolutely putting this straight into my giant tribal deck.
That's cool.
I'm so glad that I got the Dungeon Module version of it, too. Thought it was really neat. I like the art. So that's awesome. Very happy to get that. Foil uncommon here, and then a garbage token. Okay. Alright. Okay. Let's see. We got the treasure from the back there. We got Wish. Neat. Wish, the actual magic card, doesn't do anything in Commander. You're not allowed to look outside the game for stuff in Commander. Cleric, Priest of Forgotten Lore, Gretchen, my least favorite legend, Druid class, Wild Shape, neat, Ranger's Longbow, Split the Party, don't. Oh, Adult Gold Dragon. 5 mana, 4/3, flying, lifelink, haste. I don't know if it's exciting exactly, but it seems solid. As a rare, like I'm just not sure what you'd do with it. It seems really good in draft. Not sure beyond that. But we got a foil uncommon. Is this card good? I forget. 3 mana, 3/2, so decent stats. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. Yes, this is good. This may legit go in enchantment decks, like Commander enchantment decks, because it's a tutor. Puts it on top of your library, sure, but lots of enchantment decks have lots of cards that say when you play an enchantment, draw a card. So they could always get Moonblessed Cleric and go, aha! Tutor up an enchantment to the top of their library and draw it in the same turn. And sometimes those will chain back to back, so it'll be like a 1 mana enchantment. They can play it and then draw another card and keep on rolling. So we got a Goblin token on the back of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. We got Veteran Dungeoneer. Okay. Island Gnoll Hunter. It's not someone who hunts gnolls, it's a gnoll who is a hunter. Well, creepy as all get out. Spiked Pit Trap. Distinct from Pit Trap. Different card. Contact Another Plane. Love the big ol' eyeball. Pixie Guide. Monk of the Open Hand. Don't see many monks in Magic these days, but there we go. 1 mana, 1/1 Elf Monk. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Monk of the Open Hand. I mean, considering this is a 1 mana, 1/1, this could be a thing. I don't know. That could get big. Rally Maneuver, Lurking Roper, Priests of Ancient Lore, yep. Oh, we got a good doggo as a rare. 2 mana, 3/1, creature dog with vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for a basic land, a plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So it's not quite as good as Knight of the White Orchid, but it is a 3 power creature with vigilance, which Knight of the White Orchid doesn't have, and it should help with the dog tribe a little bit. Okay, we got a double rare pack, and the other rare is Treasure Vault, which I believe is one of the more valuable and sought-after rares in this set, as it is an artifact land that enters the battlefield untapped and has a benefit on top of that. Considering we just got 10 new artifact lands added into Modern that are a little pushed, but enter the battlefield tapped, keeping them tame. This one doesn't enter the battlefield tapped. And if you happen to make a bunch of mana, you can sack this and make a bunch of treasure. All those treasures are artifacts, which help towards your metalcraft and your affinity and stuff. This card is really good. And then a foil Arborea Pegasus. Neat. Okay. So, we still have this many left. Whatever that is. So like I said, though, I'm trying to roll through these a little faster, not reading every common, every uncommon, just pointing out some of the exciting ones, and the ones that I am curious about. Displacer Beast, cool art. Forest, Pixie Guide, but not a foil, so it's lame. The foil one is just so much better. I love the blue. Common. Trelasara Moondancer. White and a green, legendary creature, elf cleric. Whenever you gain life, put a +++ encounter on Trelasara, Moondancer, and scry 1. I mean, seems really good in certain like life gain commander decks. In your Soul Sisters, your Essence Ward, and your Tristani, stuff like that. Seems really cool. Is it good as a commander itself? I mean, not as good as Tristani, but it's good enough that you might want to build it, especially if you're kind of new to Magic, new to Commander. And then maybe you upgrade it later, I don't know. Zorn. I didn't think this guy was rare. 3 mana, 3/2. If you would create one or more treasure tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional treasure token. Neat. I'm not sure. I guess, who needs that? Red-white? When you're playing Smothering Tithe and, I don't know, Monologue Tax, anything that makes one treasure over and over again, and you make 2. Because the most commonly played treasure card in red is Darkside Extortionist, and he makes a bunch of treasure. Adding 1 onto that isn't as exciting as you add 1 treasure regularly and double it. But still good, still cool, possibly useful in something. Dragon's Fire foil, neat, and the Tomb of Annihilation with Atropol on the back. Okay. Certainly in the final third, anyway. Jeez. I do go on. Oh, we got the art for Tiamat. Cool, I'd love to draw Tiamat. Plains. Loathsome Troll. Spy. Sleep, another spy. Demogorgon's Clutches. How did we have a whole Dungeons & Dragons set, and even a card called Demogorgon's Clutches, and I'm pretty sure the Demogorgon's not in this set? I think I know how. They've got a secret lair coming out for Stranger Things. And the Demogorgon, of course, is a central figure in Season 1 of Stranger Things. And I believe that the secret lair is trying to be mechanically unique black-bordered cards again, just with the implication that they will reprint it sometime later with different name and whatever. So I got a feeling that the Demogorgon got pushed into that. That's why we don't see the Demogorgon here. Bummer. I'd like to see it in both places. Would have been a perfect excuse to do it. But, oh well, they gotta make their money. Their business. They take our money. Oh my god, old Gnawbone. I hate this card because it is good. Because it is really good. Have y'all ever seen a good green card Maybe a green card that's good at making mana. Well, this is one of the best green cards at making mana. It's also a 7 mana 7/7 flyer, which green has never gotten that before. Green has never gotten an 8 mana 7/7 flyer. It's never gotten a 7/7 flyer ever, let alone one that is anywhere near to the amount of mana that you spend on it. So, in the past, the closest thing you get is like 6 mana 4/4 that like you can sack a land to give it flying, or like you cast a Spirit or Arcane spell and gain 4 life or something as a 7 mana 5/5 maybe. This thing is on curve, 7 mana 7/7, flying, which green shouldn't get, doesn't normally get, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. That means if Old Gnawbone hits somebody, you make 7 treasures. That's a huge amount. But you have to deal combat damage to a player, right? You have to have waited a turn and hit them and stuff. No. If you have creatures on the battlefield already that can hit your opponent, those will make you treasures the turn that you cast this. And you can end up with a way more than 7 per turn. This is Nyxborn Ancient, but with evasion. The ability to chump, or to block Shivan Dragon. This thing is nuts. One of the most powerful cards in this set. When people have been complaining that green cards have been overpowered for years, this is the most overpowered green card in the set by a long shot.
And green doesn't need help.
Jesus. Shocking Grasp, foil, whatever. Saber Ants. Okay, I got a card from the list. And see, this is what green usually gets, or used to get. 4 mana 2/3. Whenever Saber Ants is dealt damage, you may put that many 1/1 green insect creature tokens into play. People used to love this card. People maybe still do. I'm not people. But at least, you had to work for it a little bit. You had to get damage dealt to your own insect in order to make more insects. And it's a 4 mana 2/3. These days it'd be a 4 mana 4/4 with hexproof. I don't know. That makes 20 treasures every turn for 0 mana. Goblin Javelin here. God. Okay. Yuan-Ti Fangblade. I remember this card's neat. What does it do again? 3 mana 2/2 Snake Rogue with Death Touch. Cool. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, venture into the dungeon. I like Death Touch as a pseudo evasion, because people don't want to block it. And then you venture into a dungeon. Yeah, this is really cool. Thieves' Tools. Enters the battlefield, create a treasure. No creature can't be blocked as long as its power is 3 or less. Equip. That's really cool too. Horde Robber. When it deals combat damage to a player. Okay, this is another in the cycle of rogues that need evasion and benefit you if you give them evasion somehow. Whenever a creature attacks against Death Touch until end of turn, 1 black to cast, 2 to equip. Wow. Whenever a creature attacks alone, defending player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So wow, it's like Black Exalted. I believe they did do that for a set. Like M12 or something like that. They gave Black Exalted and it was kind of cool. Trickster's Talisman. A creature gets +1/+1 and has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice the talisman. If you do, create a token that's a copy of this creature. Okay. Not sure what to do with that. Monk Class. The second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. Oh, yeah. This second turn matters. Oh, and it's a rare. Oh, and it's a double rare pack with Vorpal Sword. Well, cool. Now I have a normal version of the Vorpal Sword in addition to the buy box promo. Then we got a foil common, and we've got Reduced to Memory as another card from the list. This one, I don't know if you can remember all the way back to this set from 2021 called Strixhaven. So this is a real, blast from the past here. It's a lesson. You can exile target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a 3/2 red-white spirit creature token. Yeah, so you don't see cards like these anymore. Not since all the way back in 2 sets ago. Back in May. It's wild. Seems like a lifetime ago. So of course they put it in the list. It's a reminder to times gone by. Oh, there's Delina's normal art. Cool. Looks powerful. Neverwinter Dryad, that's some Jeff D stuff. Hired Hexblade, the Mimic, the Grim Bounty, the Uncommon, Power Persuasion. Back to commons again. Hama, so we got the normal version of Hama. Okay, I forgot. This is one of the cards I most want from this set. Guardian of Faith. A colorless and 2 white for a 3/2 creature Spirit Knight with Flash and Vigilance. When Guardian of Faith enters the battlefield, any number of other target creatures you control phase out. I have a mono white go wide deck that would love to play more cards like Teferi's Protection. This is like Teferi's Protection. So yeah, except I want to get as many of those effects on actual creature cards because I'm going for a Devotion to White style thing and a like Anthems style theme. So the more creatures I have that do that, the more they synergize with each other. So this is excellent. I love it. I'm so glad that I drew one. Legitimately. Because that reminds me that I opened a lot of Modern Horizons 2, like more than I probably should have. And I did not get a single Esper Sentinel. And I need like 2 or 3 Esper Sentinels. So I actually need I was going to trade for one the other day, but then the person I was going to trade with was busy, or they didn't bring their trades or something like that. Didn't work out. And I don't know. I don't get out of the house that much, so I don't know when I'm going to get more opportunities to trade with people who have spare Esper Sentinels lying around. Considering how versatile that card is, not much of a thing. A spare Esper Sentinel. You play it in every white deck, I would think. So yeah, I'm probably just going to have to buy a couple, and they're like, just under $20, I think? I don't know. I'll check again. I hope they're still under $20. I'm going to buy at least one. Power Word Kill, that's the first one of those that I found here. I think it's super cool. It's super creepy, too. Look at that art. It reminds me of the Lich from Adventure Time. Just like, fall. Or in this case, kill. You destroy a non-angel, non-demon, non-devil, non-dragon. So, I think it's like extra planar beings aren't... I don't know what the rules of D&D are in that regard. Certain powerful creature types live it. Everything else dies. Minsk! Somebody's going to be happy to throw this legendary hamster at people. I'm not up on that lore too much myself. I do think it's neat, though. I'm glad to have one in my collection. It's a mythic rare. People want it? I'll probably trade it to them. Oh, and I don't have the Minsk token yet. Or the Boo token. Guess I need to get that. Let me find that somewhere. Okay, we got something interesting on the back of this one. That's just Knoll, Forest, Cridle of Baldur's Gate. Brazen Dwarf, whenever you roll a die, you deal 1 damage to each opponent. Good for the die roll deck. Maybe that's obvious again, but like, still. There are cards that say roll a die on it that aren't necessarily good for the die roll deck, but that is. White. No, it's a black card, though. Why is it called white? There's the oven. Preheated. But yeah, colorless and a black for a creature zombie soldier. Enters the battlefield tapped. It's a 3/2 with life drain. Whenever a creature dealt damage by white this turn dies, create a 2/2 tapped black zombie creature token and exile that card. I'm not sure what to do with that exactly. Has potential, though, I think. Boulette Foil, and from the list we have Goblin Assassin, which is one of the worst assassins and a pretty bad goblin. I have played it before. It does involve flipping coins, and then people sacrifice creatures. Look it up if you care. It's not very good. I don't know why it's included in here. I don't think it's worth even $1. It shouldn't. Shouldn't be worth even 50 cents. It's a 5-mana 2/2. Has a chance of killing a creature you control, and a chance of killing a creature that you don't. Goblin. Okay. Forest. Purple worm. Oh, jeez. Dude, stop trying to thrust your purple worm at me. Okay. Goblin, goblin, tiefling. I see the theme. Burning Hands. Just 2 damage to a creature or planeswalker. If the permanent is green, deal 6 damage instead. Okay, sure. Uncommon, uncommon, uncommon. Is this thing good? Oh yeah, actually, that's right. I was considering this one for Kiki Jiki as well. 4 mana, 4/3. Whenever Chaos Channeler attacks, roll a d20. On a low roll, you exile the top card of your library, you may play it this turn. On a high roll, exile the top 2 cards of your library, you may play them this turn. On a crit, exile the top 3 cards of your library, you may play them this turn. So, in Kiki Jiki, I mentioned before that I'm trying to not play so many cards that are just good with Kiki Jiki, but instead ones that either go infinite or help me find and pay for the infinite mana combos. This helps me find the infinite mana combos, or the infinite combos, because you dig a card when you attack, and Kiki can make a copy of it that has haste that attacks. And I'm always willing to attack with the copies because they die at end of turn anyway. And then rolling d20s is fun. I want to do it. You may play the cards this turn. I could end up getting multiple cards deep, find one of the infinite combos, win the game. So I may actually play this in my competitive Kiki Jiki deck. It's 4 mana, but red struggles a little bit for card draw outside of a couple of the best cards ever. So yeah. Oh, we got a mythic rare planeswalker, Grandmaster of Flowers. 2 colorless and 2 white for legendary creature Bahamut. As long as Grandmaster of Flowers has 7 or more loyalty counters on him, he's a 7/7 dragon god creature with flying and indestructible. By the way, that doesn't say in addition to its other types, so it is actually that instead of being a planeswalker. Target creature without first strike, double strike, or vigilance can't attack or block this until your next turn, so that's a little pacifism effect. That's a plus. And the other plus, search your library and or graveyard for a card named Monk of the Open Hand. Oh! Reveal it, put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. Well, that seems cool. And then we got a foil. But it's a loathsome troll. Okay. Dungeon of the Mad Mage with the Goblin back. Alright, getting down to the last 5 or 6 packs here, finally. The end is in sight, but there could still be a few more cool things in here. Oh, there's the Owl Bear, but without the signature. Highland, Chattering Skeletons, that's cool. You have common, common, uncommon. They're making biscuits over there, hence the pop. If you're concerned, hopefully no one was startled. Orb of Dragonkind. A colorless and a red for an artifact. A colorless and tap, add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast dragon spells or activate abilities of dragons. And for red, tap Sacrificed Orb of Dragonkind. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal a dragon card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Seems good in a dragon deck, obviously. Also, there is a special promo version of this, I think for the Chinese market exclusively, that there are 3 different pieces of art that depict a creatures that are little onigiri, I think. They're like little rice ball people. And one of them is like a thief that is stealing an orb of dragon kind from a vault and then being chased out of a castle by a bunch of like samurai looking guys. And then in the final art, it seems to be returning the orb to the dragon in its cave. So it's like a hero restoring the orb to where it came from. It's really cute. Then we got a foil power word kill. It is an instant for 2 mana that destroys most creatures. I don't know. Maybe that does have a place in Commander. It names, 4 creature types that you'd really like to be able to kill. Well, 3. Angel, Demon, and Dragon. Being unable to kill devils is not that bad. Not a lot of great devils in Commander, or in Magic. But they're starting to be. Devils are another thing that are different in D&D than they are in Magic. Because in Magic, demons tend to have deals and be intelligent and ancient and powerful. And devils tend to be little rascals. They're chaotic. And in D&D, it's apparently the other way around. That the devils are the masterminds who make deals and pacts with people. So, anyway. Common, uncommon, Gretchen, uncommon. And the rare is Froghemoth. 5 mana, 4/4 Frog Horror with Trample and Haste. I love the sound of that. Although, once again, I get a little worried when I see powerful green creatures. But, we'll see. When Froghemoth deals combat damage to a player, okay, so that's a pretty big hurdle to jump through, although it does have Trample and Haste helping it out. Exile up to that many target cards from their graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on Froghemoth for each creature card exiled this way. You gain 1 life for each non-creature card exiled this way. Oh, so it's got a bit of scavenging ooze kind of thing going on with it, but it has to hit people. Seems fine. Seems solid. Oh, double rare. We got a Flumph. Ooh, is this going to go in my Arcades the Strategist deck? Maybe. 2 mana, 0/4, Defender Flying Jellyfish. Love the sound of all that. Whenever Flumph is dealt damage, you and target opponent each draw a card. You know what? Yes, I love this card. I am playing it in Arcades the Strategist. I haven't played Arcades the Strategist in a while. The deck got a little boring because it's basically just play walls, play your commander, attack with everything, and every once in a while you get like a trick. But it plays pretty samey, especially because most of the walls, they all kind of do the same thing. Most of them do. Okay, we got the showcase art for Gretchen. Half-elf monk, neat. Find a cursed idol. I like the reference in the art to the old dungeon module that uses that same idol, it looks like. Wild shape, blink dog, are uncommons, uncommon. Oop. Common. Ah, there's Delina as normal rare. And behind it is another rare, the Black Staff of Waterdeep. Blue, legendary artifact. You may choose not to untap it during your untap step. Animate Walking Statue. 2 mana and tap another target non-token artifact you control. Non-token artifact you control, okay. Becomes a 4/4 artifact creature for as long as the Black Staff of Waterdeep remains tapped. Activate only as a sorcery. I'm not sure what to do with that. I don't know. Full Veteran Dungeoneer, and another Tomb of Annihilation. 3 packs left. This is third from the end. Genuine Seer. Neat. Swamp. Dark Basilisk. Common. Aha! Okay, I was hoping for her. Kalain, Reclusive Painter. I think she is super cool. I like her vibe. Black-red, and yeah, it is a woman. Legendary creature, Human Elf Bard. I actually would kind of like to have the Monster Manual version of her. 1/2. When Kalain, Reclusive Painter, enters the battlefield, create a treasure. Other creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them for each mana from a treasure spent to cast them. I just think that's cool, and I want the other art version of her because it removes reminder text, and I think a lot of these cards are cleaner when they don't have reminder text. Oh, this card, I mean, to set aside. 3 mana, 1/4 Dwarf Citizen. When it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. 2 mana, sack another creature or treasure, draw a card. Seems pretty good, especially for just 1 power. It could go in a Shirei deck. Prosperous Innkeeper. I remember thinking this was good as well. Colors in a green for 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, create a treasure. What's with all this? Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. This is really good. Common, common. Oh, we got a Mind Flayer here. 5 mana rare in the showcase style. 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Mind Flayer. Oh, right. So it's like mind control, but on a creature. Seems good. Glad to get it. Foil Spike Pit Trap. And Lost Mine of Fandelver. 2 cards left. Yeah. 2 packs left. 2 packs left. Lots of cards in those packs. Okay. Mangled the packaging on that one. Oh, but we have a Dog Illusion. That's wonderful. Our card is Hall of the Storm Giants. Oh, love it. Love it. Mountain. Baleful Beholder. Why is this the first Beholder that I'm seeing in this set? Love it. Direwolf Prowler. Evolving Wilds. Why is this the first Evolving Wilds I'm seeing in this set? Foil, that might be pretty sick. I did not get a foil, though. You meet in a tavern. Lovely. Grim Wanderer. I think this card's really good. 2 mana, 5/3 with flash. You just have to have a creature died this turn, like, you know, Morbid or whatever. Seems really good. Hamapashar seems good. And I get my second Beholder in the same... It's the same Beholder, really. Okay. Ingenious Smith is alright. Triumphant Adventurer. 2 mana, 1/1 human knight with Death Touch. As long as it's your turn, it has first strike. Ooh, sick. And whenever it attacks, venture into a dungeon. This card seems really good. And a foil Dueling Rapier, which I don't know if it's good exactly. 1 to cast, flash. Enters the battlefield, you attach it to something, 2 power. I don't know. Could have a use. Could have a use. But we're on the last pack finally. I'm hoping for a Borderless Mythic Dragon. One of the Borderless Mythic Dragons would be one of the coolest things I could get here. Or Mordenkainen. Did get the art for a Dragon Turtle. That's cool. Plains Displacer Beast. It's my uncommon. More Beholders, finally. Eyes of the Beholder. Common. Yeah. We find some prisoners. Centric Apprentice. Fly. They're uncommon. Boots of Speed. I think it's cool that this exists. Veteran Dungeoneer. Cave of the Frost Dragon. Oh, okay. If you control 2 or more lands, it enters tapped. For 5 mana, it becomes a 3/4 with flying until end of turn. Seems alright. And hired Hexblade as my foil. Okay. Well, that is the box. And these are 2 of the coolest things I got in it. Along with, from the list, the Gemstone Caverns, which is the biggest and best pull in this whole thing. It's gotta be. I don't know. Got a Flumph I'm probably going to use. Grandmaster of Flowers is neat. Minsk, someone's probably going to want that. I'm definitely going to use the Guardian of the Faith. Old Gnawbones is one of the most powerful cards in this set. Probably one of the most valuable. Treasure Vault is valuable and powerful, though for Modern, really. Circle of Dreams Druid, people are going to want that. I might play it. Varus is cool. Book of Vile Darkness has some potential. Volo, I'm probably going to build that deck. Book of Exalted Deeds, I'm probably going to throw it in a Life Gain deck. Zalto might go in my Giants deck. Drizzt is cool. Delina's neat. And that is my box. So, thank you for sticking with me through this quite long video. I do have more packs of Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realm to open, but that's plenty for today. Plenty for those are all the set boosters that I have opening. I will get a